Are you having trouble finding a job in pharmacy? Maybe you're looking around and you can't find anything. In today's video, I have my OG friend, Paul Tran, who is going to help you try to do that. Guys, I did it. I got the OG pharmacy YouTube motherfucker. So for y'all that don't know, I wasn't the first. I was not the first YouTuber on pharmacy. It was actually my boy Paul Tran. And if you haven't checked out his videos, he has a lot of videos on pharmacy. But then he kind of disappeared. And we were asking like, what happened to you, man? So that's when I swooped in and I committed the robbery on pharmacy. Just kidding. But seriously, we talk about pharmacy and it was just kind of cool seeing like his mindset on entrepreneurship and the FIRE movement. We get into finances and all that. And we get into creating different streams of revenue too. So if you don't know, he also has a DIY channel. It was just really cool just connecting with him. I know I used to clown on him, but you know, he's a really great guy. Really hard worker too. This guy has 4 jobs while people are struggling with 1. So we talk about how to find a job even in the saturated market. Let's pretend you're a pharmacy student, or maybe you are in your last year of pharmacy school, or maybe you're a seasoned pharmacist. We really break down what it takes to find a pharmacy job. So sit back, relax, watch this whole video. Also, make sure to follow Paul as well and watch my whole pharmacy podcast playlist. It's called the Red Pill Pharmacy Podcast. So check that out. And we will start in 3, 2, 1. Whoop! 3, 2, 1. Paul, so great to actually have you on my YouTube channel. Just me and you, no Brian Fung this time. It's
Oh man.
yeah, it's pretty cool, man, because in my head you're definitely one of the OG pharmacists YouTubers out there. You started YouTube before all of us and you were actually one of the pioneers of pharmacy, or pharmacy YouTube, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess I didn't really see too many pharmacists or even students at the time. Yeah, and actually when I first started,
Yeah.
people thought I was really weird because it's just not a lot of people were on YouTube, especially healthcare people. And my classmates thought I was weird, but now it's like normal. You know, I interviewed recently for a job, and then I mentioned that I have a YouTube channel and didn't even phase them. You know, the interview crew usually are pretty shocked. They're like, "Oh, what's that about?" Blah blah blah. But now it's such a normal thing. No one really even cares anymore.
Bro, but you had one of the first pharmacy. You were an early adopter of YouTube, actually. You were one of the first pharmacy YouTube channels ever. And
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
yeah, so they weren't shocked at all.
Not really. I thought they would be more interested about it because before when I talked about it, people were more interested in that topic because they just haven't met a pharmacist on YouTube really.
Yeah,
So,
cool. Let's kind of go into your origin stories, man. Like what got you into YouTube and what made you really want to start a pharmacy YouTube channel to begin with, right?
so basically, when I was searching for information, it was always either through pharmacists that I met
Mm,
doing volunteer work, or the pre-pharmacy club at
mm,
school, and then also I had a hard time just finding resources for pre-pharmacy students, like
yeah,
how to be a pharmacist. And then eventually, I ended up on Student Doctor Network a lot. And then once I got into pharmacy school, a ton of people kept asking me about it. And the
yeah.
same questions came up over and over and over. So that's when I started my YouTube channel. I was like, hey, this is kind of a niche that I could get into and just answer these questions. And also, I had some influence from, I'm sure you heard of him, Timothy De La Ghetto.
You no freaking way. You watched Timothy De La Ghetto? No, you're to me, Paul. You're not that target demographic.
Yeah, so I watched some of his stuff when I was in college, and I was like, oh, people would basically say, "Dear Timothy De La Ghetto," and he would give advice, right?
Yeah,
And so that's kind of how I came up with, oh, people are asking me these things. So I said, oh, dear pharmacy student, whatever the question is, and then I would respond to the question.
yeah.
And that's kind of where it started as well, an idea basically.
So it really started like honestly, it's funny because when most people do YouTube, they're just like, "Man, I want to do vlogs. I want to do a prank channel or whatnot." Right? Even though prank channels aren't big right now, but most
Yeah, they
people
kind
want to
of
do
faded, yeah.
yeah, but most people want to do something really fun, and you want to just like help people through pharmacy, man. I think that's really really great. Before starting YouTube, did you like have any other like YouTube channels, or was this your first one?
No, before that, it was actually in 2005, 2006, around there.
Mhm.
I started a YouTube channel with my cousin actually, and we were trying to provide health information and basically target youth health information.
Yeah,
And we would make silly videos and skits and things about, eating your
I
vegetables and
know.
getting exercise and whatnot.
Yeah.
And basically that kind of faded after I got into pharmacy school. I stopped doing that just because of time mainly, and no one else was really putting in the effort to really grow it anymore.
Yeah.
And so that kind of fell off after that. So
So it sounded like you started something with your cousin in 2005. And that was like when YouTube really, really, really was like starting up. It
yeah,
was like
yeah.
it was like just in it just literally started up that year, 2005, 2006 years.
And
And
I actually remember we made a tribute video to do you remember the Virginia Tech shootings
yeah,
back then? Yeah, we
yeah,
made a tribute video back then, and it made it into the trending page. We were a top video, which was super surprising to me. And that's how small YouTube was. We would just post that video on Facebook, and then it kind of went semi-viral. I mean, kind of viral at the time,
yeah,
and it hit like 50,000 views
yeah.
within less than 24 hours.
People don't realize that was like crazy if you had like 50,000 views back then, man.
Oh yeah, because it was a tragic event, and basically we talked about gun violence, and then we provided basically quotes
Yeah.
from each student from different colleges,
Yeah.
and so people thought that was pretty cool.
Dang. So you guys got started pretty early, right? Wow, that's crazy. And that's really funny. You still use that tagline at the end of your videos, or like some, I don't know about now, but some of your older videos, you're like, eat your vegetables. And then
Yeah.
me and Brian, we just clowned on you so hard, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't care.
No, it's funny. These jokes, man. I think that's I think I remember that day. So if you're watching this and you have no idea what I'm talking about, me and Brian decided to come over to my house one day, and we are just like looking at videos. He's staying over at my place, and we saw a video that popped up that you made, right? And we were just like, "Hey, what would happen if we like parodied Paul and started some like online pharmacy beef or something like that?" Right? And shots fired and whatnot. It was just really funny, but man, that's freaking that's something cool about you, man. I feel like there's you're such a chill guy, and you're just like one of those people that I wouldn't expect you to like be interested in things like Timothy De La Ghetto and all that as well, man. So it's just really you have a really interesting personality, man.
Well,
Um,
those things just like came up as recommended. I'm like, oh, what is this? And I just watch, and I
yeah,
try to see the trends and what's popular on YouTube.
yeah,
When we're in school and we want some downtime, I didn't have TV, so
mhm,
YouTube was my TV basically.
yeah,
When I'm not studying, I'm like, okay, what's there to watch here?
yeah.
So
Gotcha. Hey, by the
And
way,
then you inspired Brian too to start his channel.
I inspire a lot of people to try to start their channels, man. Like, I think it's so important, man. Like, I feel like that's the one thing that sometimes professionalism kind of takes away is like the face behind what's behind the counter, what's behind like, what's the personality behind the person in the white coat, right? And so I think it's really important for people to know that we're people too, and we have different personalities, that you watch Timothy De La Ghetto and stuff. Like, I think it's really, really important. Um, Kind of curious. So that's how you kind of started out and you started answering questions and whatnot. Kind of curious, what did you used to shoot with back then, man? Like what kind of gear? Wow.
Mm, I think it started out with just point and shoots
Yeah.
from Canon.
Yeah.
And I mean, today they were like standard definition. It wasn't even 720p. It was really crappy, and the audio was crap. It was just really bad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then eventually, when I started answering questions for pharmacy, I moved up to just a DSLR, like the entry level ones,
Yeah.
and that helped a lot.
Yeah. And so you started creating these videos and stuff, and I'm sure you got recognized a lot more, right? Did a lot of your friends and stuff go up to you and be like, "Hey, you make YouTube videos," or was that later, kind of down the line?
Oh no, that was more probably 2011 and on, or 2010 and on,
Hmm.
because before that people just thought I was weird because YouTube was so new, and it's just people just thought it was really weird that you would video yourself and post it online for people to see. And it's because not a lot of people did it. It was different
Yeah.
at the time. But now, then towards 2010 and on, people start to recognize it more because more people were on YouTube. And when we went to pharmacy conference, people will come up to me and say, "Hey, you're the YouTube guy," and and then my classmates were like, "What?
Yeah.
What the heck is this? Like people just recognize you out of nowhere."
Yeah.
And that's when they started to think it was kind of cool. And then interns started to recognize me whenever they saw me.
Yeah.
And I've only been recognized in public maybe once or twice that was not pharmacy related.
Really? Huh.
Well, I mean they recognized me as a pharmacist, but it was like in a restaurant or something, but most of the time when I get recognized, it's in the pharmacy.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure if you go to like mid-year or something, people are gonna want your autograph and stuff, man.
I haven't gone to mid-year since being a student, so yeah, I have no idea what it'd be like.
Dude, I swear, Brian always tells me like, dude, you should go mid-year, man. People know us, man. Like, you should really do it. People like recognize you. I'm like, that's cool and all, but I don't know if I really have the time for all that, man. Like to be honest, but it'd be kind of cool to do like a meetup like type of thing over at that event. I
So
kind of want
does
to.
Brian? Oh, sorry. Does Brian get recognized when he goes?
He was telling me he gets recognized a lot, but he's also ASHP's like poster boy, like star person. I'm pretty sure you're not gonna make too many fans by creating videos like don't do pharmacy. Here's why, like
Yeah, I don't think, yeah. I
okay. Um
mean, at least you can kind of speak the truth about what you feel, but
yeah.
I can't say everything I want to say because I don't want to get in trouble. Um,
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'll be the martyr, bro. Like I'm transitioned out of pharmacy like at this point like I I can I want to say what everybody wants is thinking, but doesn't want to can't say out loud because of fear of termination or whatever. So
yeah.
um hey, kind of curious. I want to circle back to something that you said. People thought you were kind of weird for YouTube doing YouTube, right? That's what you said.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What kind of stuff would they say to you like when you're starting up your YouTube channel?
they wouldn't they wouldn't say it to me, but I just knew that they thought it was weird because they wouldn't really be interested in it too much,
Yeah.
or they would just be like, why do you do that? And they just didn't get it, I guess.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I just didn't have a good connection when I talked about it to people.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of assumed, I guess, that they thought it was weird.
People's eyebrows like go up and are just like, what are you doing with your time and stuff? Gotcha.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, would you always consider yourself kind of like I don't know. I feel like during that time when you were on YouTube, right? You're definitely very forward thinking. I actually think you're a lot more like you're early adopter, like before me and stuff. I actually wanted to do YouTube a lot earlier, but you're the one that actually did it first. And I was like, that's pretty cool. Would you always consider yourself like thinking differently than other people and trying new things, I guess?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the other thing I've kind of learned to not talk about too much anymore, which I used to talk about more, was have you heard of the FIRE movement?
Fire? You're talking about
Or yeah.
the festival?
No, not the festival.
Oh, you're talking about financially, like the financial
Yeah,
fair movement.
yeah. Financial independence, retire early movement.
Yeah.
I talk about that with my coworkers, and they just think I'm hell weird, and they don't think it's possible, or like, why would you do that type of attitude?
Yeah.
They're yeah. It's just so I just don't talk about it as much anymore with people because they kind of get upset about it almost. I don't know. It's kind of weird. So
It's difficult, man. Especially like if you talked about it with me, I'm very open to that idea. Like I've heard of it. I know the concept and all that, and I'm all about maybe not exactly that methodology, but
yeah,
I do believe in investing into assets, right? And
yeah.
living on that's essentially it. You're creating assets which you can live off of,
Yeah,
right?
but for me, I don't follow the exact fire movement,
Yeah.
but I take ideas from it,
Yeah.
and basically, what I'm trying to do is, yeah, build enough assets where I don't have to worry about my day job paying for my expenses,
Yeah.
and then I can just do whatever I want,
Yeah.
and I'm not. It doesn't mean I'm just gonna sit around on a beach doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Still gonna be working, but in something I guess I might be more passionate about, or something I want to basically provide more value to people or help people in a different way, impact people in a different way. And that will give me kind of a peace of mind that I'm not worried about myself anymore. I can just do anything I want.
Yeah. And
So
when did you start like kind of preparing yourself financially or start thinking about this like or taking ideas from this like fire movement, I guess?
I think it's just when I started reading blogs about it, specifically Financial Samurai
Yeah.
and a couple other blogs out there like retire by 40.org or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I started to hear more and more about fire movement. And so that's kind of where I started to take ideas from and be like, oh, is this even possible?
Yeah.
But there's also it's called fat fire. So fat fire being
What's that fire? I never heard of this.
so fat. I think it's fat. I believe it's called fat. So fat fire, it means you're not living like too budget sensitive wise to be financially independent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're still living a fairly decent lifestyle, but you're still fire. So
Mm,
trying to get to somewhere making six figs, but you're not working full time anymore.
mm.
you know, as that versus fire, you know, they don't aim that high for their yearly income, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I get it. That's pretty interesting that you're interested in sort of like that financial literacy and stuff like that as well, dude. Were you always like approximately like when did you start getting more interested in that sort of stuff, man?
mm, I think I've always mm, probably 2 years after pharmacy school when I found those blogs. Then I started learning more about it, and I was like, oh, this is an idea I never thought was possible.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I know like right now you have a few different things going on right now. You have your own DIY channel. You have a few brand deals and stuff like that too.
Yeah, it's just really hard actually to balance all of it because you know I'm working more than full-time hours,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to grow that DIY channel, that pharmacy channel, or sorry, building channel,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm not out seeking sponsorship deals because I just can't meet all the deadlines, and it just gets too busy. But I do have some stuff working with Home Depot, and then occasionally, like once a month or so, I get an email about some sort of sponsorship. Most of the time, it's just like they'll give me
Free
stuff
product.
for free, yeah, for free, and then I have to make a video or an Instagram post or something like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. I actually started getting a lot of affiliates and brand deals right now. If you can't tell, my hair is growing out because I have a one of my bald videos caught like fucking went viral, dude. Or not viral, but it's doing pretty well right now. So I have a brand deal with like a razor company and stuff like that. I'm probably going to talk about it.
Nice.
I have like a lot of different affiliates, and I think it's like I think that's the thing that one thing I like about you, Paul, is just that I very rarely meet other pharmacists that are like us, where they're thinking about different, I wouldn't say side gigs, but thinking about different asset classes to kind of invest in, whether it's the stock market, whether it's through different modes of entrepreneurship. I think that's one really, really cool thing about you, man. And it's definitely very rare because none of my other friends think about it ever.
Oh yeah, most of the pharmacists I've met, they very few of them have financial knowledge, like any knowledge.
Yeah.
And the most of the time, if they are seeking it, they'll ask me, and that's when I'll tell them. But you know, I learned in the past, I'm just not even gonna talk about it unless
Yeah.
they want to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Got it. Yeah, man. And that's actually, it's really funny. That's why I actually created my investing course, man.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
remember seeing.
Kickassinvesting.com, shameless plug. Um, no, but seriously, I really think financial confidence is so important, like knowing what a 401k is, knowing what a Roth IRA is, knowing how our tax system works, super, super important. But guess what? It's boring stuff, man. Like,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
be
yeah,
honest, not the most entertaining thing. And so it was really kind of my goal to really make it as entertaining as I could. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. And I'm
um,
still learning taxes every year. There's so much to learn about taxes, especially since we now kind of have a small business.
yeah,
We can write a lot of things off. And so
yeah,
I'm trying to figure all that out.
yeah,
And like I've been traveling a little bit more in the past year or two.
yeah.
And now I'm trying to figure out how to expense those as business expenses.
Yeah, and especially when you have a YouTube channel, it's a lot easier and you vlog and stuff. That's why I
Yeah.
always vlog because um it's just building onto your personal brand and stuff and just really keeping track of all that sort of stuff too. Um yeah, I guess like one thing I noticed about you is like you do a lot of things yourself. How do you manage all this sort of stuff, man?
Well, since I do night shift, I freed up more time to
Mhm.
do other things.
Yeah.
So I work 7 days on, 10-hour shifts, so it's 70 hours, and then but they still pay me like 80 hours.
Yeah.
And then I have this 7 days off. I can do whatever I want,
Yeah.
either work extra per diem jobs, work on my YouTube channel, and then even when I work night shift, I can get in a couple hours before going to work. Like today, I was in my garage. I worked on an IKEA restoration table for like 2 or 3 hours before this conference with you.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be working tonight even. So
yeah, I know. It's crazy workaholic. Have you ever considered like kind of outsourcing some of your stuff, man? Like hiring an editor or anything like that before?
well, the thing is, I don't even make enough content to hire out an editor.
Really?
It's just not.
Do you script out all your videos or something? Or like tell me about that process. What
Well, it's just the building, it takes me, well, I can pump out a video like once every month maybe.
yeah.
So I mean, that's not worth it for me to hire an editor to do one video a month or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess if I wanted to make more pharmacy related videos, maybe I can hire an editor.
Yeah. But honestly, I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel this way. It's just like, dude, I'm so sick and tired of talking about pharmacy at this point.
Yeah, it's just I know there's so many topics I can talk about on pharmacy.
Yeah.
But I'm not really that up to date anymore on what's going on. And so I'd have to definitely read more about it and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And it takes energy and time and creativity away from me to do my other building channel, which is what I'm focused on.
Yeah.
And there's just so much decision making and thinking I can do in a day before it just tires me out, especially with working still.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my thought, like, I'm just gonna push the pharmacy channel on the side and just focus on growing the DIY channel for now.
Yeah. Hey, I gotta ask you a major question that all of us are wondering right now.
Oh, what are you wondering?
There was a period of time where you disappeared, man. What happened during that time?
Oh, that was the time, I graduated.
Yeah.
And I was just working a ton of hours because I was day shift at the time.
Yeah.
And so I was starting to work as a pharmacist. And at the time I had just 2 jobs, one full-time job and one per diem job. So I was still working pretty much most days.
Yeah.
And so that's probably why I disappeared for a while.
Yeah. Dude, I feel like, dude, how many different areas of pharmacy have you worked now, man? I feel like you have like a new pharmacy job or a new job every single like time I meet you and stuff like that.
Well, I've never left any pharmacist job, and to this day, since I've graduated, or actually since I even started pharmacy school. So
and when did you start pharmacy school? Just to date you and make you feel bad.
2008.
Oh my God.
Since 2008, I have not left any pharmacy job I've held. And so, I interned, transitioned to per diem, transitioned to full-time at the same hospital.
Yeah.
And I worked in long-term care full-time.
Yeah.
And then I added 2 other per diem hospital jobs. So technically I have 4 jobs right now.
Oh my God. Dude, that is crazy.
So 1 full-time, 3 per diem. But, I know like you were saying, forward thinking, right?
Yeah.
I know that pharmacy is, reaching saturation points. There's a slight decline that I've noticed in people admitted to pharmacy school this year compared to last year. like
Yeah.
a couple hundred less students, right? Because I think people know now that the market's saturated and there's less applicants.
Yeah.
And so there's a small decline starting.
Good. Have you seen the
But
numbers, by the way?
yeah, I saw the numbers about, I don't know, whenever Tony Guerra posted that Farmcast stats up. And basically, I've been working a ton of hours with all these extra jobs, knowing that it won't last. Because already this year, one of my jobs, I've only worked, I think, 16 hours at the entire year. And it's already April, 24th today.
Yeah.
And I've only worked 16 hours at one of the per diem jobs. And I'm not even scheduled at all. So I have no clue when I'll next work there. And so I can already tell the hours are declining. They're hiring more per diem at the other hospitals that I'm per diem at. And I'm the lowest priority for scheduling because they want to give these other pharmacists some hours because that's their only job. And they feel bad because that's their only way to pay their student loans, their only way to pay their expenses. They're like, well, Paul, you already have a full-time, so you're the last one to get any shifts.
Yeah.
So I know the hours are going to decline, so I just took as many hours as I possibly could.
Yeah.
But I don't mind because now I have a little bit more time to do my YouTube, right? So
Yeah.
it's all good.
Oh my God. So roughly how many hours do you work a week then?
It's really variable,
Yeah.
Last year, that was my highest earnings ever. But I expect quite a bit of decline this year. Probably, I would say, I'm guessing I'm going to take a 40K hit this year because the hours are going to go down.
Yeah.
So
Holy
something
shit.
like that. Yeah, that's my guess.
Holy shit.
But
Yeah.
I'm probably going to average this year, probably 4 extra shifts a month. That's my guess.
Oh my God. So let me ask you this, man, because you've been around the block. You not only have one job, you have 4 jobs, okay? Well,
Yeah.
people are trying to look for one job, man. You gotta
Yeah.
realize that. I
Yeah.
guess if Paul the pharmacist, right, um, just graduated this year, how would you go about getting a job? Like if you're a new grad or something like that, how would you strategize getting a new job and positioning yourself in, I guess, the saturated market of pharmacy? What would you do?
So basically, I would have started while I was in pharmacy school.
Yeah.
Started to network more, go to these, basically all the conferences and the state meetings and the board meetings. Because often my director is always at those pharmacy board meetings.
Mm.
So if you go to those even all the time, you're going to meet all these directors and managers. And, that if you get to know them, most likely you can probably get a per diem job if you ask for it later down the line.
Yeah.
And that's what I would do if I didn't get a residency. Then I would apply for any per diem job out there. And just to, give some hope to people that don't have a residency, one of the hospitals I work for, they hired 2 new grads last year without a residency in the inpatient hospital setting.
Yeah.
So it is possible. It's just you got to network and you
How
got to go for these per diem jobs.
if I can ask you, how did they position themselves for those type of opportunities? Right.
So I think they were just at the right place at the right time for
Yeah.
one of them, because there was maternity leaves, a lot of vacation requests at the time, and so they applied and got in at the right time. And there wasn't any new grad residents
Yeah.
applying, and so that's why they got it. And also, I think they also had good recommendations from their preceptors that knew people who worked there.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Wow. So it sounds like to me like basically they had really strong recommendations, but they probably took the approach that you did where they kind of positioned themselves before they actually needed a job, right? They
yeah,
planted that seed way before. Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
you definitely have to do that. Yeah, but the most people go the residency route now. I mean, that's what everyone's been aiming for.
Yeah. Um I do want to circle back on residency, but let's kind of let me ask you this question. What happens if you're plan B? You're like most pharmacy students, and you're like, fuck, it's my last year. It's my last year of pharmacy school. I haven't done any of this. What would Paul do in that case? I know Paul would never put himself in that position, but hypothetically, what would Paul do in that case?
Then I would start networking hardcore on rotations.
Mm,
Yeah, like anytime you get invited out to have happy hour or someone's birthday or whatever in the rotation you're in, like the pharmacists or the technicians, go to them. Always go and show up, because then build a stronger connection with your preceptor and the people that you work with at that rotation site. But if you don't show up, then you're more forgettable, basically.
yeah. Mm,
And I think that's really important.
good advice. I love that advice.
Yeah.
Um, and how about worst case scenario where like maybe you graduated pharmacy school, now you need a job. What would you do now?
So you graduated and you didn't network in
Did it?
your
You like
rotation.
you're a slacker on rotation. You had horrible presence, but you know what? You realized the errors of your ways, and you wanted to, kind of look for a job now.
Yeah.
Like, what would you do in this case?
Well, applying blindly is going to be really tough,
Yeah,
but I mean, you can still keep trying to do that. But then I would go on LinkedIn, try to search people who are maybe managers or people that work at the sites that have job openings, and
yeah.
trying to communicate with them and build something through LinkedIn,
Mm,
and continue to go to all those meetings and things.
board meetings and stuff like that. Your
Yeah,
pharmacy board meetings. Okay.
yeah. Anything where pharmacists meet up, go to it.
Yeah.
Basically.
We have this saying in business, your network is your net worth all the time. So I think it's so important. It's actually one of the reasons why I actually dropped, dude, Paul, you're going to be like, what the fuck, Kevin? But it's actually one of the reasons why I dropped $20,000 to go to a castle in Scotland, man.
Was it like what is that? Is that like a mastermind or something?
It's an MLM scam. No, it's a mastermind hosted by like a billion, like a multi, like $50 billion. He calls himself the $50 billion man, but I can't imagine the type of people I'm going to meet there. And I know
Yeah.
like it's going to pay off the ROI immediately, and it's like a
Well,
mentorship too. So
before I would think that's crazy, but now, I've realized the power of the network. And if you're meeting like people with that much influence, it's worth it. Yeah.
all I need to do is close like one or two deals, pays for it multiple times over. You can get like a crazy ROI off of it, and just meet cool people at the end of the day. But yeah,
Yeah.
man. Anyways, I don't want to detract too much about that. I do want to ask you another question, man. So in 2019, uh, the market is very saturated right now. If Paul was like a high school student, would you go back to pharmacy school nowadays, like with the state of this current market?
Well, it depends.
Hmm.
So if I shadowed and I truly liked what I saw,
Yeah.
and I could figure out a way to reduce my student debt,
Hmm.
and no questions, I would do it.
Yeah.
But if I'm just like, it's okay, and then I accrue 200 to 300 in debt, then I would definitely advise against it,
Yeah.
because you're putting in yourself in such a horrible financial situation starting out that it's just simply not worth it to do pharmacy, because
Mm.
you're not even sure if you'll get a decent job.
Or even stay in it that long, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
yeah, or stay in it that long, and you're a lot older graduating than your peers.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you're comparing, but I mean, if you're purely trying to build wealth and
Yeah.
things like that, either you want to go in and be an entrepreneur or business, or go in the tech field. I just read some article recently that a brand new Google entry level engineer makes, like, with their stock bonus and bonus sign on, they make like 220K their first year there. I
Yeah.
mean, that's ridiculous. That's a 4-year degree, 220K the first year, and
Yeah.
it's only gonna go up from there. So
ROI wise, it's just like if you're trying to, I don't think being a healthcare professional is worth it ROI wise, to be honest with you.
no, it doesn't make sense, because
Yeah.
you're graduating older, and so you're losing out on compound interest
Yeah.
based on age already,
Yeah.
and so it just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. So.
All right. Let me ask you the same question. I literally came up with these questions on the fly, Paul. So I feel like we're on a Miss Cleo show where I'm asking you, hey, tell us the future of like pharmacy. But I love asking these questions because I love hearing your thought processes, man. Um, so let's say if you were in pharmacy school right now, would you go do a residency? Do you think it's worth it to do a residency at this point? And I know there's a lot of different factors, what kind of residency and whatnot, but like, would you go back and do a residency?
Well, I honestly don't believe you need a residency to be a hospital pharmacist,
Mhm.
but it's becoming really hard to get your foot in the door without a residency anymore.
Yeah.
And so managers and directors are only hiring those with a residency.
Yeah.
And so that's why I would have to recommend it only for that fact,
Yeah.
because it's just so hard to get in without one.
Yeah.
It's possible if you network and work your way, but it's going to take time and effort to get there.
Mm,
But
gotcha.
it's a lot harder.
Yeah. Dude, great insight on that, man. Like, I think that advice is like sound, dude. Like, because it's really crazy. I actually have a lot of friends like those new grad interns, right? No residency experience, no nothing, and they still manage to nail these inpatient jobs, man.
Yeah, and you have residents that graduate but are worse than people who didn't have residencies. It
Yeah.
just depends on the person.
Yeah. And I feel like residency is more like a formality more than anything, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they just like pack them with a ton of projects mainly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's funny. I guess like my question to you right now is like, dude, you've been doing pharmacy for a while. You're doing this DIY thing. What's next for you, man? What's the future plans? Are you gonna what's your game plan? Are you planning to get 7 jobs within the next year or something and do that fire movement or something like that?
no, I'm not gonna add any more jobs. I'm just gonna keep the ones I currently have, and if there's any vacations or maternity leaves,
Yeah.
I'll cover them.
Yeah.
And then when I'm not covering, I'm gonna try to build the YouTube channel up more, try to build more skills like you have been, but
Yeah.
basically try to expand myself online. But I don't know what's the new platform. I'm just only on two mainly, Instagram and YouTube, but I feel like that can fall behind any time, and then there's a new platform out and I'm not even on it.
I'm
So,
telling you this, man. Like YouTube is not going anywhere. I don't know about Instagram to be honest with you, but YouTube as a long-term platform, I highly believe, and that's why I'm doubling down on that platform. It's only getting bigger. And I swear, if you don't even have a YouTube channel right now, like in 2 years, you're gonna wish you had a YouTube channel, because everybody wants to build their personal brand nowadays, and you're starting to see it. Right?
Yeah, like, oh yeah, and that reminds me. So one of my, high school, I don't know, like not friends, but like colleague, he announced recently that he's a real estate agent, right?
And like
And then
everybody else.
yeah, and basically I commented, "Hey, am I gonna see, Facebook ads from you now, blah blah blah."
Yeah.
And then he responded, "No, why would anyone have me as their ad? They have to pay me." I'm like, "Oh gosh, this guy doesn't know
They don't
anything about
understand.
social media." So
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like sometimes, like I'm so deep into this shit that I forget. Majority of the population does not know how marketing works. Majority of the society does not know how like offers are created, the importance of traffic. They just think you're just doing like stupid prank videos on fucking YouTube all the time. Like
yeah, yeah, but if you're like a real estate agent or opening, your own dentistry
yeah,
office or doctor's office, you got to be on Facebook, making these ads and things to get clients.
yeah,
That's where the eyeballs are, and I'm surprised that people aren't seeing this. And even the hospitals I work at, they are trying to build their Facebook and social media influence to kind of get a more positive, basically view on them.
but yeah,
And so I noticed they're starting to do things like, have you seen videos where, patients donate their organs for whatever reason they're dying, and they decide to donate their organs, and basically what hospitals are doing now is they line up the hallways with employees out of respect while the patient is rolled
I've
to
seen that. I've seen that. Yeah,
the OR.
yeah,
And that never used to be a thing. And they're doing that now so they can record it, so they can post it on Facebook and make their hospital look better. And families and friends of that patient will talk about it because they're like, wow, this is so respectful and so cool, you
yeah.
know. And so that I just see it everywhere now that people are using social media to basically boost their brand.
Yeah, boost their brand, boost their perception. But I still feel like a lot of corporations, they don't really understand social media from like a consumer point of view, right? Um,
Yeah.
that's a pretty smart content idea, by the way. Telling those stories and stuff about those patients and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's pretty good strategy. But yeah, man, I feel like you're gonna see a lot more of that. Like the trend is towards social media. No one, like I always think of my good friend Richard Nitch. He always gives this analogy, right? I'm sure he's not the first person that thought about it, but Instagram is to magazines as radio is to podcasts, YouTube is to TV, and I think Facebook is to newspaper or some shit like that. I can't remember.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
I mean, you gotta realize these things are just evolving over time, to be honest with you, right? Like these platforms are just going digital. That's the trend. Not to say like these other platforms like radio and stuff that doesn't matter, but you're gonna see like a lot of this huge traffic going this, and it's a very interesting time because there's a huge opportunity in this, right? And I think that was like kind of my decision too, to like really go 100% into this digital medium that I've been studying for a while. I see the opportunity in it, and I feel like, hey, you can always become a pharmacist later. You know what I mean? And worst case scenario, I'll have a personal brand where people can trust me and stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But
And yeah, being going to pharmacy school now is easy. They, what is it, 83% acceptance rate or something like that. I mean,
because they know, like, if you looked at the statistics, I'll recite it. If you go on Bureau of Labor right now and you look up pharmacists between 2016 and 2026, it's only expected to go up by 6% total. That's only like 15,000 jobs or 17,000 jobs.
And
Last year's class was a lot larger than that number.
Yeah, right? And then we don't even know if that's really, there's going to be really growth or contraction based on technology changing things.
Yeah, exactly. That's the scary part. Also, to be fair, I'm going to argue the other side. We don't know how many OG pharmacists are retiring too and opening up that job market. But you can tell, like, just eyeballing those numbers, the growth, I'm not 100% positive on it. Yeah. So why would I go into a field? And this is my personal opinion. I wouldn't jump into a field that I don't see that margins in or opportunity growth in. It's kind of like when you invest in stock market. Like if you're advanced enough to invest in the stock market, you don't want to go in when everybody's already when there's like no growth opportunity, right?
Yeah.
You wanna get in when you see tons of potential opportunity and whatnot. And for growth. Yeah. What are you gonna say?
Another side note is that I think, I thought pharmacy would be more saturated at this point, but I think it's because Seattle, where I currently live, it's just the population grew so much that created a lot of pharmacist jobs. So I don't see the saturation here as badly as other parts of the country.
Yeah.
But what I've also noticed, there's no data behind this. This is all anecdotal. What I've seen, because I've worked at 4 places, right?
Yeah.
Is and my classmates and my Facebook feed, I can kind of get an idea of what's happening. So there's more females, in pharmacy school, and a lot of them have gone part-time when they have kids, and a lot of them have married doctors, dentists, surgeons, lawyers, and then they completely leave the field of pharmacy completely. They don't even work anymore because they don't need to. They married up. They married into someone making a lot of money where they don't have to work.
Yeah.
And I think that's taking a lot of pharmacists out of the equation.
Yeah.
And then another weird thing I thought about, but I'm not really sure if it's true, right?
Yeah.
Is that they're targeted by doctors and other people because pharmacist personalities, right? So they're thinking that these female pharmacists are more passive. They graduate a little younger than other doctors.
Yeah.
So they kind of get picked up by the
dating statistics, bro.
This is just all what I observe. I don't know if it's true, right?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting too. I never considered that. I guess it makes sense for a lot of my friends too. Like, yeah, a lot of my friends married like baller ass surgeons and all that sort of stuff. They married up, and now they have the option whether to work or not, I guess,
Yeah, and so I think that's helped with the market saturation too. It's kind of delayed it a little bit.
So I can quote you in the next thing. Paul Tran predicts that pharmacy market will open up due to marrying up into doctors and whatnot.
I think it just slowed down the saturation point.
Yeah. But the thing is just like, okay, it's no secret at this point. And if schools are increasing their acceptance rate, there's a pretty good indication at that point that tells me that, hey, the bubble is coming, man. The bubble is coming, and we're gonna hit a saturation point. So that's why I say it. But I always tell people, like, don't let if you're truly like you love pharmacy that much, don't let that stop you. At the same time, to just know the odds are not within your favor right now. And if you're willing to kind of position yourself and be that top 1%, I'm not worried. But man, like, especially trust me, I talk to a lot of kids, man. A lot of them ask me, hey Kevin, is pharmacy still worth it in 2019? And I'm just like, well, there's too many factors, man. To be honest with you, I can't give an easy answer. But in my opinion, if Kevin was like the 18-year-old in high school and stuff, I personally would not do it. I would not do it again. I mean, it's gave me a lot of experience, really like met some really great people, wasted 5 years of my no. No, but like seriously, on a serious note, like yeah, there were some good things that happened of pharmacy school, but you gotta realize, I mean, just being a pharmacist and graduating from a school and getting your doctorate and all that sort of stuff doesn't mean jack shit. And when you look at the long-term value of things, especially financially, when you mentioned those like Silicon Valley, or wait, it wasn't Silicon Valley, but you said
Google.
software engineers or something like that.
Yeah. Google engineers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's like plenty of other markets if you just want to make money. And I think right now it's like the best time to be an entrepreneur, man, or learn some sort of high income skill or some shit like that and do something by yourself. Because you know what? You know what the problem is not information anymore. Maybe that was the case in like 50 years ago, right? Where information, oh, what did you have to do if you want to learn something? You go to the library and look through
Yeah.
all these encyclopedias and books. And you know what? Maybe your library doesn't have this book, right? You got to borrow it, wait a few weeks. Nowadays, we got everything at our fingertips, literally at our fingertips, right?
Yeah. It's just like you can learn pretty much anything you want on YouTube, and it's probably gonna be better than at college.
Yeah, it's true, right? Like I watched pharmacology video. I used to watch like study with substance P. I thought it was pretty funny, man. But like do you know that they used to break down like different like pharmacology stuff and I used to cram through that.
Oh no, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, they used to songify everything. I was like, oh shit, I actually remember this stuff. You know what I mean? So like, dude, you literally can learn anything that you want. And I think there's so much opportunity with that. Yeah.
I mean, that's why I got into DIY. I was watching videos, I was looking at blogs, and I was like, well, there's a lot of content out there, but no one's making like good videos.
Yeah.
But now there's a ton.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, but
Yeah.
still in that space. I mean, you don't even see a lot of Asians, like Asian males,
Yeah.
doing like building stuff too much.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare.
Dude, what got you into DIY, man? That seems like such a random topic, man.
Actually, when I bought my home, that's when I was like, well, I don't have no skills in fixing anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I was like, well, okay, I'll buy this tool. And then I started watching stuff and
Yeah.
researching. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to try to build a coffee table and see how that goes.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, turned out okay. So then from there, I was like, man, I need to make videos. Like, I'm already spending a ton of time making this stuff. I just might as well make videos while I'm doing it and combine the two things that I like doing,
And so do you like make most of your furniture at home and stuff like that? Or do you ever buy it? You rarely
no, we buy stuff because there's just way too much stuff and there's just not enough time, to build everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, cool, Paul. I think dude, our hour is pretty much up, man. I really just want to get the inside scoop on Paul and give the personality. I learned a lot. I didn't know that you like Timothy De La Ghetto. It's kind of cool.
I don't watch him anymore.
Really? Oh man, I sometimes watch his content. But it was kind of cool to see your outlook on the future of pharmacy and how to position yourself for a job because a lot of people look up to you, man. You're definitely you definitely do your research with all the facts and stuff. It really shows because whenever you do a video, it gets a lot of views, and whenever you do a video, I always copy it and I get a lot of views too.
That's good. That's good.
And I think it's kind of cool, like seeing that you're really interested in like things like financial confidence and literacy and whatnot and investing into assets, man. I really hope for the people that are watching this that they get into it and they download my free they get my free masterclass and at kickassinvesting.com, shameless plug. But as always, I always like to ask, is there anything that you want to plug, Paul? I'll plug your Instagram or anything like that. What do you want to plug?
Just check out my building channel, just Paul Tran DIY, and same thing with Instagram.
Cool. Awesome, bro. Love it. Love it. Love it. If maybe we'll do a part 2 if we get enough views or something like that.
Yeah, I
But
hope
yeah,
people like this.
yeah, I love it. Go follow Paul and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Eat your vegetables.